All right, welcome back to another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today is probably the best day of this entire portal season because John Mattier has finally committed to the University of Oklahoma, going to be the expected starter. I mean, you can't write this in, but I would be surprised if he's not the starter for the Sooners going into the 2025 season. So that's going to be the topic today. How he changes this Oklahoma team going into next year. What else you want to get in the portal to make sure that he's in a good position to succeed going into next season and over the next couple of years. Before we get into everything, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on everything in the description down below. All right, let's go. Brandon, does this feel like it's been an eternity since we've been waiting for this to happen?
Yeah, I felt like it was never going to happen. I started to get real down. And there's a lot because I looked at it, for a long time as the guys Oklahoma lost out on. The guys that were interested in, potentially offered, whatever that didn't go our way. Um, you know, Luke McGarry. It looks like Ethan O'Connor's not coming, but maybe now, who knows? Maybe things are a little different now. Reggie Virgil. There's just names out there that Oklahoma was interested in, and it just didn't go our way. I think, just watching that, you start to lose faith, or I did, behind the scenes. I didn't, I didn't put anything on our socials or, on here, it's always sunshine and rainbows, but in the text messages, I'm real down sometimes, but, yeah, it's awesome. It's really great to see this, this first big domino go. He was, the day he hit the portal, he was everybody's number one ranked player in the portal. He's a guy who accounted for like 44 total touchdowns last season, through the air and on the ground. So he's done it. He's obviously very familiar with this Ben Arbuckle offense. Everything made total sense for him to come here. It just seems like it dragged on and took forever. But the day has come. We're here. We got our guy. Again, assuming we have our guy, I would be shocked if he came here and got that, the kind of NIL deal that it looks like he got, and he's not the starter. So, it's fun. I think again, anytime you land the number one player in the portal, especially a guy who's a quarterback, you think he's gonna, a lot of times the quarterbacks become like your lead recruiter, if you will. Especially he'll probably look at this receiving room and be like, I need some help here, probably. It's probably going to be his first thought. And then, he's probably going to be in on some of these visits. Hudson, his first name escapes me, but the Washington State kid in the portal, does he get him on the phone and try to get him to town? Wouldn't surprise me. But, I think this is the first domino, and now you should start to see some of those fills or those holes on the offensive side of the ball at least start to fill up. I definitely think this means at least a couple of receivers. I think you get a tight end out of this. I still hope Devon Mitchell's the guy, but I think you need another tight end that can play. And I think the offensive side will start to take care of itself here with this John Mattier addition. Defensively, you still have some holes, but we can kind of patch those up a little bit later, or as the offseason continues on. But either way, big day for OU. We got our guy.
Yeah, and it's probably been the longest week of Oklahoma football in a long time, probably since the week that we had to wait for Brent Venables to get hired. I still remember when we were constantly covering like who's it going to be? Was it going to be Dan Lanning? Was it going to be Brent Venables? Who else was in that like coaching search carousel for Oklahoma? I don't remember. I know it was those two for sure because you and
Those
I
two,
went back
those
and
are the
forth
names that
for a
I can
while.
remember at least.
Yeah, but that's probably the last time that a wait this long for something we all kind of knew was happening, but we were just waiting for it to actually happen. Like this, it feels good to kind of get that monkey off your back. Even just as fans, I'm sure Brent Venables and Ben Arbuckle and the quarterback coach and everyone on staff, probably some of the guys on the roster have been able to just take a breath, you know, take a seat for a second and be like, we know where we're going. We've got it now, a direction. And I don't think it's so much like a lack of trust in what Mike Hawkins can be in the future. But for a quarterback, especially after the season you're coming off of, you need to have some sort of plan that shows one promise to the school, promise to the fans and the donors. Because if you go into next season with a lot of uncertainty, that leash is going to be very, very short. Now you've kind of gotten some space between the hot seat and Brent Venables here because there's hope there for 2025. Now, when 2025 starts, that's going to be a different topic, but now you can kind of see the writing on the wall where, okay, Oklahoma's going to has the opportunity to go back to being Oklahoma. Now you just got to put it together with your quarterback. Like you said, get a few more receivers through the portal because you did lose a lot, basically everyone that was productive in previous seasons. And that one thing that we haven't addressed here is people on Twitter like go in and say you're not losing much production from the 2024 season. Well, if you look at the production some of those guys had previous to the 2024 season, you're losing quite a bit of production, and you're going into next season with not much to at least show from that room, at least as of right now. Now you're gonna bring back Deion Burks. That's someone that last time we did a wide receiver video, it was still unsure about. He teased everyone a little bit and was trying to break some hearts for about 80 seconds of his video, but he went from being number 6 to number 4, and he is coming back to Oklahoma. That was a fun video at the end.
Great
That was the
video.
first 80 seconds,
Great
but
done on. Yeah, he did a perfect job with that. He had all of us going.
yeah, you get back Jaden Gibson next year, so you've got your one wideout and your slot receiver that are already on this roster. Now you just got to go find another wideout, which could be Chris Hudson, the Washington State guy that you just mentioned, Jared Bradley, the BC guy that was previously at Texas Tech, uh, Giovanni Gibson, Arkansas Pine Bluff. So there's options out there. Yes, the frustrating part throughout this week is you've seen a lot of wide receivers find their new destinations. Excuse me, but there's still plenty of receivers out there that are probably going to hit the portal. And then you also have the window that opens post bowl games where you can get some guys that were in playoff contending teams. So there's more that will come. It's annoying that we had to wait so long. And yeah, it would have been cool to get a guy like Micah Hudson, but that's not
Not
what
a. Did
priority
you read
was.
the alleged NIL stuff that he got?
Oh, dude, it was weird. It was
But
crazy.
if that's real, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if that is legit. But that's it's kind of like I don't know that was a bit much, in my opinion.
Well, and that can be a topic for another day, but that's some of the stuff about this version of NIL, where from the beginning it was like this is not what it was intended to be, and it's
Hundred
just big
percent.
money donors and schools that are desperate to get their fan base excited again, taking advantage of an extremely flawed system that the NCAA decided not to put any guardrails in for
Yeah,
anyone. Like it's
that's
probably also negatively affected some players. I mean, we just don't know those stories.
yeah, that's I don't know. Well, but back to Mattier. I think this. We kind of talked about it. I think Oklahoma's lack of aggression at the quarterback spot, kind of in itself was a little bit of a writing on the wall that I think Oklahoma knew for a while. It wouldn't be surprising to me if when Ben Arbuckle was interviewing, that they kind of already knew that Mattier was going to eventually follow suit and, probably end up being a Sooner. Obviously, they can't. They can't say that they can't come out and say that they know this or things like that. But I think they probably had a decent idea. But even with Mattier landing now, obviously we talked about the domino effect that we think will now happen as a result of this. Casey Thompson's gone. Brendan Zerberg's gone. I guess you have new. So there's currently 3 quarterbacks on the roster. One without any experience at all. Hawkins, a guy that I think is going to be good, and then Mattier, probably your 2-year starter. If things go how they should. Does Oklahoma dabble in another quarterback? You think in this cycle, this portal cycle, or are we just going to roll 3 deep?
I think they roll 3 deep for next season, but I wouldn't be surprised if like in the 2027 class or something, because they have their 2026 quarterback.
Yeah.
And after next season, it'll be, assuming nothing drastic changes or things don't sour for someone on the current quarterback in the current quarterback room. You have Mattier there for one more year. You have Hawkins, that is the succession plan post Mattier, and then you would have New and your 2026, 4-star, 5-star quarterback in Jaden O'Neal. Maybe 2027 they look and they find a couple of quarterbacks in that class, kind of like Mike Hawkins and Brandon Zerberg situation. You take 2 quarterbacks in one class, see how it goes, and then figure it out. Maybe take a older transfer quarterback like they did in Casey Thompson, kind of run back that game plan. But at the end of the day, we got to get there first. Right now, it's going to be John Mattier, get his wide receivers, make sure he's protected, and win some football next year. Because if you don't win football next year, Brent Venables isn't going to get to decide if he takes 2 quarterbacks in the 2027 class or not.
That's very true. I mean, either way, great day, fun day. I think a day that was fun on social media because everyone wanted this for so long. It's a huge sigh of relief to finally see it, materialize and be real. No pun intended there. I think it's cool to see it done. It's cool that we have our guy. It's going to be a lot of fun to see who now follows. I think, like, I'm a huge proponent of bringing in Chris Hudson now. He's a guy that was very productive last season with Washington State. He's a guy that's obviously very familiar with both Ben Arbuckle and John Mattier. It's another thing that, makes perfect sense for him to end up in Norman now. And it's always fun, I think, as a transfer quarterback. I would imagine as a guy like John Mattier who just transferred here, he's already got familiarity with the OC and with the quarterback's coach, which is obviously a great thing. But just to have somebody on the field with you that you kind of have a rapport with already probably doesn't hurt. It would only be good. So I think Chris Hudson has to be a guy that Oklahoma seriously takes a run at next, or at least that's what I'd like to see. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm glad. I'm glad this happened, but I'm also glad that this saga is over of the portal, because not only did it feel like it was eternal, but man, this is really when some toxic people come out on Twitter. You've either got some extreme sunshine pumpers or some just, the world is about to collapse on itself.
Yeah,
everything sucks about Oklahoma football if it doesn't go this way.
You gotta, if you have those feelings, you gotta just text it out with your pals. You can't put that shit on social media because the problem is if you do that behind closed doors, like I have, like some of us have in this podcast room, every now and again we have our down moments, and we text our friends about it, and the great thing about that is like we text all the time anyway, so like it's not a big deal if I text you that I'm scared that Oklahoma football is falling off a wagon and shit, and I can be all excited now that Mattier's here. But, if you go on social media and start, like, we're doomed, we're never going to sign anybody. If you put your thoughts on Twitter all the time versus hiding them behind closed doors in a text message, then you can't really be excited about it today. It's not a great look to be all negative and then positive on social media just from one signing. So you got to keep your bads not public. My advice.
Yeah. I think you said it. I was looking for the text, but you kind of said it best, because there was a few days ago where I was like, I can't fucking wait until this entire staff is gone. I hate, our tight ends coach. Brent Venables doesn't care. And you're like, this is the time of the year where we need to text each other, because today is a day where I'm going to make sure you get out of this rut. And tomorrow might be the day you help me out. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened, because I think the next day you were ready to just go into the fire, everyone bandwagon. And I was like, maybe we should just relax for a second.
That's what we got to do. Yeah, it clearly worked out. I think it's going to work out as the offseason goes ahead. And that was the thing that I kept saying, on my good days, is like what we fail to realize, because we want everything to happen so fast, because we're just impatient people, I think, just as humans, is, there's like 8.5, 9 months until Oklahoma plays another game. I mean, the bowl game, obviously that happens, but that's a game that I don't think it'd be awesome to win. We're going to be there. We want Oklahoma to win, of course. But, it doesn't hold as much weight as the season does. And we're 8.5 months away from that. So, this roster does not yet need to be finalized, even though we'd like to. I mean, I think we'd all want this shit to be done and finalized and looking like a championship roster right now. But it's just not how it goes. You have to. There's a lot of things that go into this. There's kids that still need to go to the portal. There's negotiations. There's visit. It's a whole hassle. But just give it some time.
And this is just this saga. For the rest of the season, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add before I wrap it up here?
That'll do it for me.
I mean, rest of these next eight and a half to 9 months, we're going to be talking about retaining players. You've got R. Mason Thomas and Dominic Williams. Will they be coming back to Oklahoma next season? I think that's more like, am I going to the NFL or not situation for guys like that. And then 2026 recruiting, preparing for the spring game. There's a lot more to talk about. So this is just the first big domino to fall for the 2025 Oklahoma Sooners. We appreciate y'all watching. We hope you enjoyed. If you did like today's video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate every single one of you for joining us. We'll see you next time.